Baruch. We're doing Siman Samech Aleph and Samech Bet, two short ones, putting it together here. The Shem Hashem again. We mentioned we're trying to go in order, so he's talking about the laws of Pesach, but it seems like that's going to be the end of it after today. And he says a few points. Number one is, in general, mitzvah bo yoter mibishlucho. It's better to do a mitzvah yourself as opposed to someone else doing it for you and having you in mind. So he says when it comes to the Karpas, in the Seder, each person should do the bracha themselves as opposed to one person doing it for everyone. Now, the truth is you could ask, what about Kiddush? What about Hamotzi? That in general we do, one person for everyone. So that's a good question. It seems though that there is also an element of kavod that it also has when you do one person for everyone. There's a big element of kavod that's being shown for Hashem, as opposed to everyone doing it themselves. Then it's a little bit less, each one's a private thing. So there's a little bit of a balance there. Some Ashkenazim are strict to do it themselves, even Kiddush on Shabbat. In general, the Sephardic custom is one person does it for the whole Kahal. But here when it comes to Karpas, he says each person should do the bracha of Adama on the Karpas themselves. Second point he says is that, as we always mention, is that for Sfaradim, glass is not bolea, does not swallow anything, and therefore you could use glass cups and plates, etc., from year-round, also for Pesach. So make sure you wash it well with soap, and then you are good to go. The last point he mentions is as follows. Pasuk says by the Korban Pesach, Al matzot umrorim yocheluhu. You have to eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and maror. Unfortunately, we still don't have the Korban Pesach, but the Korban Pesach was on the first night of Pesach, and we still have matzah and maror, and therefore we see there's an obligation from the Torah to still eat, to have matzah and maror. So we have an obligation on the night of Pesach to eat matzah and maror. Now, the Torah also says, Shivat yamim tochal matzot. 7 days eat matzah, and the seventh day is a chag, that's the second holiday. So this pasuk of Shivat yamim tochal matzot, how do we look at it? 7 days eat matzah. Is it one of three options? One, is it a chiyuv? Is it an obligation that every single day from these 7 days I have to eat matzah? Or option number two, it's reshut, meaning if you want, you eat matzah. If not, not. But we're letting you know that during these 7 days you can't eat bread. You have to eat, if you want to eat a bread item, you have to eat matzah. You can't eat chametz. That's the point of it. And if you do so, then you're getting a mitzvah, meaning any time during Pesach that it's not an obligation except for the first night. It's not an obligation to eat matzah every single day, but if you do, you're getting a mitzvah. That's the second way of looking at it. Or the third way of looking at it is the 7 days, besides for the first night, is totally reshut, totally up to you. If you want to eat matzah, if you want to eat something, you could eat matzah, but it's not necessarily a mitzvah that you get when you eat that matzah. So Rabbi Shalom Asas, so as follows. Everyone agrees that it's not the first way. Everyone agrees it's not an obligation every single day to eat matzah, because then it would be like a seder every single night in a certain way that, just like the first time we say al achilat matzah, there's no, and then the rest of the Pesach we say hamotzi. And the first night also we say hamotzi, but there's no al achilat matzah on the rest of the days of Pesach whenever we eat matzah. This is not an obligation every single day. I must eat matzah today. I must eat matzah on day 3 of Pesach. I must eat matzah. There isn't that. Everyone agrees to that in this pasuk. Where Rabbi Shalom Asas is of the opinion, there's a machloket with the last two opinions. Rabbi Shalom Asas goes with the second way, as does the Gaon of Vilna and many of the poskim. And the second way is, if you want the rest of the days of Pesach, eat. If you don't want, don't eat. But when you do eat, then you're going to get a mitzvah for it. That's what Rabbi Shalom Asas says. And the third way, some poskim say, there are some poskim that go with the third way, that it's not necessarily a mitzvah if you had matzah or you didn't have matzah the other days, but obviously you can't eat chametz. If you want, eat matzah, and that's what it means. Shivat yamim tochal matzot means eat matzah these days, don't eat chametz. That's what it means. And some poskim went with that, and actually, because it's the most common thing that could be chametz on Pesach is actually matzah, because it's made from flour and water. So some gedolim would just eat matzah the night of Pesach, and that's it. Wouldn't have matzah the other days because they're so afraid. We don't go that way. We go with it's kosher, it has a kosher sign, it's proper hechsher, don't worry. But some tzaddikim, they were very afraid, and they just had on the night of Pesach, and that was it. And that's of the opinion that it's a total reshut. The other days of Pesach, whenever I eat matzah, it's not a mitzvah. I don't get a mitzvah. It's okay. I wanted to eat. I had matzah. But the general way of looking at it is when a person eats matzah during the other days, it's a reshut. But when you do so, you're going to get a mitzvah. Okay, that's that for today. Minchat tonight at 6:45. Have a good day, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Tana